AEW CEO and President Tony Khan appears on AEW Dynamite and teases a major announcement regarding the future of AEW next week on TNT. Details on what that is, plus CM Punk, his return to AEW was teased last night on AEW Dynamite as well. An update on also the brand split plans, hard or soft roster split with the upcoming AEW Collision show. Plenty of details regarding a new AEW television deal as well. Don Callis shockingly turns heel in the main event of AEW Dynamite last night, turning on Kenny Omega. Miro makes a surprising return to AEW television last night on Dynamite. So does former AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa. Surreya slams fans for looking outside of her hotel. Chris Jericho is going to be facing Roderick Strong in a Falls Count Anywhere match next week. Sting may be facing Goldberg on his retirement tour in Israel. Really fascinating story that. And Mark Briscoe is going to be the special guest referee during the AEW World Tag Team Championship match at Double or Nothing. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off with Tony Khan's appearance last night. So much discussion, rumor, anticipation surrounding a new AEW television deal. In addition to that, the upcoming debut of AEW Collision in June at the United Center in Chicago, featuring the return of the former two-time AEW World Champion CM Punk. Now, in the midst of an explosive week of action on this week's AEW Dynamite, Tony Khan appeared on the show to tease another one of his trademark huge announcements for next week's broadcast, saying, quote, "In the back, there are literally stars lined up looking for chances to wrestle in AEW," Khan said during his promo. "I think it's clearer than ever that AEW can produce even more great content every week." Rumors have been circulating for some time about the future of All Elite Wrestling. There has been talk about a third AEW television show, potentially titled Collision, the possible return of CM Punk following the events of last year's All Out, and the inclusion of AEW programming on HBO Max, soon to be rebranded as simply Max, the streaming service that Warner Bros. Discovery owns, of course. Plus, it has been reported that an announcement of an all-new AEW television deal could be part of the Warner Bros. Discovery Upfront presentation next week at Madison Square Garden. We'll talk about that in just a second. Ultimately, Khan's revelation, though, could be any number of things, though his words do seem to hint at a new television show on the horizon. He mentioned some key details in the segment. First, he said the announcement would be on TNT next week, rather than the regular home for AEW Dynamite, that being TBS. Words that he chose carefully and apparently very much on purpose. Then he referenced a follow to one of the most important announcements ever in the history of AEW. Of course, we'll find out what he means next Wednesday night, but certainly it does look like we are heading firmly towards the debut, the announcement of AEW Collision coming June, and also the return of CM Punk. Now, when it comes to television shows, television deals, it's been a big couple of days for AEW as the rumor mill has gone into overdrive about a possible new TV deal with Warner Bros. Discovery. Figures such as $1 billion have been thrown around, though they've been unsubstantiated rumors, it must be said. Nevertheless, AEW is currently on track to have a record-breaking attendance at All In Wembley Stadium in August, and a new report suggests the hits will keep on coming for the young wrestling company. According to the Wrestling Observer, AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery are set to announce a new television rights deal as part of Warner Bros. Discovery's upfront presentations next week. AEW and WBD will reportedly announce the new deal, which is said to include an announcement about the forthcoming AEW Collision program on May 17 in the theater at Madison Square Garden, a part of the world-famous arena that was the base for AEW's competitor WWE as far back as its days as the New York wrestling territory of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. There is no word on whether the new deal will include an increase in the television rights fees, as we spoke about last night. Sean Ross Sapp did mention on Fightful Select that it's currently uncertain if they're going to announce a brand new TV deal with a brand new number or anything like that, or if this is just an extension, a renegotiation, or just an influx of cash. People still don't really know when it comes to all of that. Now, the news of a possible new TV deal coming at the same time as the historic ticket sales in Wembley has made for a great month for the fledgling promotion. With no word on how All In is set to be broadcast just yet, many look at the upcoming WBD upfronts to possibly give a clue as to whether the show will be a traditional pay-per-view or a televised special, or even possibly streamed on the Max platform that is set to replace HBO Max. AEW has also been considering their very own streaming platform platform as well. This announcement, likely being made in Madison Square Garden, is seen by some as a major shot across the bow in the current tribal war between AEW and WWE fans, as Madison Square Garden is still seen as WWE's home, despite the Northeast-based promotion making the less expensive Barclays Center in Brooklyn the new base for the majority of their New York City events over the past decade. Now, when it comes to this new show, AEW Collision, many see it as a situation where we're going to see a roster split or a brand split of sorts. How hard or soft it's going to be, we still don't really know. With AEW President Tony Khan set to make another major announcement on next week's Dynamite, or on TNT certainly, it seems like all signs are pointing towards it pertaining to the official, long-awaited reveal of AEW's newest show, Collision. Well, it has been reported that the new addition to AEW's weekly schedule is planned for a primetime Saturday night slot. Another infamous layer has been that its suspected debut broadcast on Saturday, June 17 from Chicago's United Center will feature the return of CM Punk to AEW television. However, given the nature of Punk's last AEW appearance at the September 4 All Out Media Scrum and the reported altercation afterwards between Punk, Ace Steel and the Elite, it was also reported that a soft brand split would be put into effect, in part to keep people who don't get along separate from each other, which does include Punk and the Elite, but there are others too. Now, while there's no confirmed details or plans as of yet, Dave Meltzer has revealed the latest plans that he has heard could be in the works regarding the brand split on the latest Wrestling Observer radio show, specifically about the women's division. Meltzer explained, quote, "As for what's going to happen with the brand split, guys going back and forth, that changes daily anyway. Nobody really knows. It's like everything in wrestling. There's kind of an idea that there will be a Wednesday crew and a Saturday crew. Will people go back and forth? Maybe yes, maybe no. At this point, it was no. At other points, it's yes." One of the things we heard it was that they feel the key women have to be on both shows because there's not enough depth to split the women up. As far as the other guys, time will tell what will happen. Even if they do have a plan, it will probably change based on ratings and when people need stuff and building up to pay-per-views and things like that. So, again, as of right now, there's still a lot of confusion as to actually what's going to happen regarding a brand split or anything like that on AEW Collision and AEW Dynamite as well. So, again, going to be absolutely fascinating. In addition to CM Punk, some are saying that he was actually teased last night on AEW Dynamite. There was a vignette on Dynamite setting up the Four Pillars AEW World Championship bout at Double or Nothing live on pay-per-view. MJF did something that no man or woman has done on AEW television since after the fateful events of AEW All Out. MJF said the name CM Punk in reference to the epic matches that he has had in AEW, but nevertheless, it's the first time we've heard his name on television since September 2022 from an actual talent. I believe he might have been mentioned on commentary once or twice before, but again, certainly quite interesting, and some people seeing it as a big tease. So what are your thoughts about it all? What are your thoughts about Tony Khan's major announcement? What do you think it's going to be? What do you think about a brand split, a roster split? Let me know all your thoughts and theories, as always, in the comment section below. We also saw a shocking heel turn last night on AEW Dynamite. In the Dynamite main event, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley delivered on their promise to bring AEW fans a new level of violence. With broken glass, a callback to the unsanctioned Lights Out match, a barbed wire covered chair and the turnbuckles being dismantled and used as weapons, both men shed blood throughout the match. With Omega attempting to hit a one-winged angel on Jon Moxley, he instead was reversed and was choking out Omega until he flipped Mox backwards into the broken glass shards. Shockingly, Moxley didn't flee the pile of glass, instead reaching forward to Omega into another submission chokehold. After a V-trigger knocked both men through the side of the cage, Moxley snatched a screwdriver from ringside and got back in the ring. However, when Don Callis got involved, it seems that he was going to interrupt Mox from smashing Kenny Omega. However, instead, Callis turned on his nephew, shockingly stabbing Omega in the head with the screwdriver. Bryan Danielson on commentary couldn't stop smiling as Callis taunted Omega. Feigning that he would strike again, he instead bent down Omega and whispered something, giving him a classic Godfather 2 style kiss of death, and left the ring to molten heel heat. Thanks to Callis' turn, it was Moxley who then scored the victory. So does this mean that Callis is with the Blackpool Combat Club now, or is it just something involving Callis and Omega? Let me know your thoughts about that also in the comment section section below. I mentioned it was a night of surprises, returns, and announcements on Dynamite. Bulgarians are breaking out to celebrate as the prodigal son has returned to AEW programming. Miro returned to AEW Dynamite on this Wednesday show. Following Claudio Castagnoli's victory over Rey Fenix, Miro was seen walking the halls of the arena in casual clothes. AEW backstage interviewer Renee Paquette asked Miro why he was back in AEW, but Miro refused to respond, instead silently walking into what was clearly marked as the office of AEW President Tony Khan. There is currently no word on what request Miro made from Tony Khan, and also later on the night we saw another surprising return as well, which we'll get to in just a second. Miro has not appeared on AEW programming since All Out 2022, where he helped Sting and Darby Allin defeat the House of Black in a trios match. Now, some of Miro's absence from AEW TV can be explained by his recent ventures outside of wrestling, including an acting role on the TV series East New York, which led to the former United States champion living in the Big Apple for a number of weeks. Despite his notable absence, though, Miro actually signed an extension with AEW last year that will see him work for the company for another 4 years, suggesting a more than amicable relationship between the two parties. While Miro was busy with the television show and signed an extension, there were still opportunities between September and now where Miro could have wrestled, but reports suggested that he was simply not pitched any kind of involvement. Despite being healthy and ready to compete, there was also reports that there was a pitch made to him that he didn't like and he turned it down, although Miro does dispute this and called Dave Meltzer, who reported on this, a liar. So there you go. Thunder Rosa, though, also made her return last night on AEW Dynamite 2, fresh off after seeing former AEW TNT champion Miro enter AEW President Tony Khan's office for a yet-to-be-known reason. Another former champion appeared on the program. Former AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa appeared backstage, much in the same vein as Miro. AEW broadcaster Renee Paquette was there in front of Tony Khan's office, still buzzing from Miro's return when Rosa entered the frame. "It seems tonight is a good night to talk to Papi Khan," Rosa said before entering Khan's office. There is no word on what Rosa's reasoning for visiting Khan could be. Rosa has not wrestled on AEW programming since August of last year. She suffered an injury that led to her vacating the AEW Women's World Championship in November. Rosa recently commented on the long recovery from her injury, making it sound like she might require surgery despite the return to AEW programming just days later. Rosa's return has been the subject of much speculation, as the former champion was mentioned on episodes of AEW All Access in regards to the rumoured animosity between her and other members of the AEW Women's Locker Room. Rosa was even the subject of a backstage meeting in her inclusion in AEW, where Rosa reportedly mended many fences. Despite her absence from in-ring competition, she recently took part in an AEW television taping in El Paso, Texas, where she provided Spanish commentary for various AEW shows. She's also made appearances as a co-host on Busted Open Radio as well. So what are your thoughts that Thunder Rosa is back in the AEW fold? Switching away from Dynamite, Surreya had a pretty unfortunate interaction, shall we say, with a fan, and I use that term very loosely, outside of a hotel. Surreya has put some scummy autograph sellers on blast on her Twitter after a disrespectful encounter yesterday afternoon at her hotel. I'm not sure how many more times professional wrestlers can politely ask before things get a little messy, and it seems that perhaps it's that now just happened. Ahead of AEW Dynamite last night from Detroit, Michigan, Surreya took some time to put some people on blast for what she described as scummy behavior. She took to Twitter to write, quote, "If you come to my hotel and wait outside of it for me to sign shit, I sign stuff even though I know you sell it. I'm nice to you, then say I'll be back down after glam to take pics. For me to walk inside and for you to make fun of my tapes to the Uber driver that asked what I did and not realize my makeup guy is right there, I will effing lose it on you like I just did. Do not disrespect me or any wrestler ever. I will not sign shit for you for free ever again, ever. Don't even ask. I'm done with the scummy auto sellers." And again, she's right, and this isn't even the first time. This has been a recurring thing recently. And again, leave the wrestlers alone, particularly when they're at the hotel, especially if you're just there to sell stuff. It's not right. Now, Chris Jericho will be facing Roderick Strong next week on AEW Dynamite. An old-school slugfest is set for next week's show as veteran wrestlers Chris Jericho and Roderick Strong battle in a Falls Count Anywhere match. The match was set up on this week's show where Jericho called out Adam Cole for ambushing him at the commentary desk on May 3rd following Jericho Appreciation Society's loss to Cole & Co. in an 8-man bout. Quote, "I was not prepared for a fight, Cole," Jericho said in a backstage interview. "You created an unsafe work environment and you're a coward for doing that." Jericho revealed he had received a court order that precludes Adam Cole from ever being in the same building as him going forward. As Jericho continued to diss Cole, Strong confronted the leader of the JAS before issuing a challenge to next week. As disappointing as it is that Cole is banned from the building, guess who's not, Strong asked Jericho. How about you face me in a fight? Falls count anywhere. As part of the stipulation for the match, Jericho Appreciation Society and Cole will both be banned from the building and not just from the ringside area. Besides Jericho versus Strong, the confirmed lineup for next week's show includes Ricky Starks versus Jay White in a grudge match, The Outcast versus Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida, and a follow-up to that big announcement by Tony Khan, a huge announcement that's coming on TNT. Now, speaking of Roderick Strong, one person who's not in AEW is Bobby Fish. He used to be, but he's not anymore. Following Fish's departure, reports emerged about him reaching out to Triple H and WWE for a potential return, also claiming that he asked Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly to come with him, which they refused. In an interview with Nick Hausman of Inside the Ropes, Fish addressed his AEW departure, firing back at the reports that he tried to get Cole and O'Reilly to leave with him. He said, quote, "Meltzer's people at one point released some leak about me when I left AEW trying to get Kyle and Adam to come to WWE, and that is accepted at this point as like gospel, and there's no truth to it whatsoever. But when somebody has, low moral value reporting-wise, then it gets into that news feed. Like I said, the desire to know the perceived dirt is such that fiction becomes fact. I've been a victim of that more than once." So he's saying that that's not true. I don't think, though, we're probably going to see Bobby Fish back inside of an AEW ring anytime soon. But you never know. Pro wrestling, never say never. This is a fascinating story. Goldberg's looking for one more match, or certainly a retirement tour. Now, his contract expired with WWE at the beginning of this year. There's been a lot of speculation about his future in wrestling, with some fans speculating he could be part of AEW All In at Wembley Stadium in August. Goldberg spoke about what he has planned for his wrestling future, which includes a potential retirement match in Israel. And it seems like Goldberg is in discussions for such a match. Longtime promoter Rick Bassman recently told House of Wrestling that he has been in contact with Goldberg for a match in Jerusalem in September. Not only that, but the show could potentially also involve WWE Hall of Famer and current AEW star Sting. Bassman said, quote, "First of all, I'm actively in touch with Bill. I'm working on a date right now. I don't promote much these days, but every now and then something fun comes up and it's worth diving into. So working on a date in Jerusalem, Israel for September of this year, and that would involve potentially both Goldberg and Sting. And then on the whole ladder, you have the AEW clearance issues, of course, so that's something that I really hope to put together." Bassman continued on, noting he has been in contact with Goldberg's agent for a potential tour or event, but noted he wouldn't be surprised to see him back in WWE. He said, quote, "Now, only because I've been in touch actively with Bill and then also with his agent, Barry Bloom, who is a longtime good friend, they are working on exactly what you described, but to my knowledge, it still needs to be all nailed down. That said, I would not be surprised to see Bill end up back in WWE for something massive." So, Sting and Goldberg on a retirement tour. Can you imagine? Finally, the AEW World Tag Team Championships are going to be on the line at Double or Nothing, and Mark Briscoe is going to be in between it all. The AEW World Tag Team Championship match is set for Double or Nothing. Reigning champions FTR have agreed to face Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. The match was put in place on May 10th episode of Dynamite with one major catch. In the upcoming pay-per-view match, Mark Briscoe will serve as the special guest referee. This comes after Lethal and Jarrett spent the past few weeks in Briscoe's orbit, including a segment last week where they visited the Briscoe family's chicken farm alongside Sonjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. The segment Wednesday night's Dynamite also featured reigning champions asking Jarrett and Lethal to keep their distance from Briscoe. FTR's connection to Briscoe and his late brother Jay goes back to their trilogy of matches for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. In honor of Jay, FTR's AEW Tag Team title belts bear his name on the nameplates. The match against FTR at Double or Nothing will not be Jarrett and Lethal's first time challenging for the titles, as they participated in a four-way match for the titles at Revolution against the Guns, who were tag team champions at the time, as well as the Acclaimed and the team of Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Prior to Revolution, Jarrett and Lethal challenged the Acclaimed for the AEW Tag Team Championships on 2 occasions. In their first attempt on January 4th's episode of Dynamite, it seemed they had won due to interference from Dutt. However, the match's decision was reversed after Dutt's interference was brought to the attention of the referee. A rematch took place at the 5th Battle of the Belt special, where the Acclaimed came out on top. So there you go, guys. That's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.